Don't be shy. I just wanna talk to you.
It's nice to be back with you again, wearing my new hat, my policeman's hat. I understand we're going to be talking about myths from Britain, which will be interesting. Not sure what this has to do with my hat, but we will see.
First name.
My name is John.
Second name.
Is King.
Marital status.
Yes.
Permanent residence.
These days, I guess I am a citizen of the world in that I have a home in England, which I have not visited for the last 3 years. I have 2 homes in Ukraine. I have homes and property in a number of other countries. But I would say my heart is in England, but my home at the moment is in Ukraine.
I just wanna talk to you.
Englishmen can be quite strange, quite strange. Not overly big drinkers, in my opinion. If I think of someone from America, I think of someone who is loud and brash and forward. If I think of someone from Russia, perhaps, I think of someone happy, having a party, drinking lots of vodka and dancing. The English are more reserved and quiet. Our language is more quiet. I remember the first time I arrived in a Russian-speaking part of the world. The language is harsh. People speak very quickly and very loudly to each other. I think everyone is arguing all the time. I don't understand. Whereas in England, we speak more slowly, more quietly, and we like to think more thoughtfully. So the English are more reserved, I think.
Британцы обожают животных.
I think that would be a truth. I enjoy, my life has been one involved with animals. There are strict laws regarding animals, even to the point where there is a Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. There is a similar society for the prevention of cruelty to children, but it's not a royal one, it's just an ordinary one. So perhaps we are overly fond of animals.
Для многих англичан домашний питомец – самый любимый член семьи, которому зачастую уделяют больше внимания, чем детям. Известный британский политик Уинстон Черчилль говорил: «Тот, кто не может понять свою кошку, не может понять вообще ничего». Британцы едят только овсянку.
Porridge is a traditional Scottish food. I don't think we only eat porridge. It is a popular breakfast, and when I was a child, there was lots of advertisements on television to say, give your child a warm breakfast, and you had a bowl of porridge before you went to school. I understand in Scotland they eat it with salt, which I have never tried, but in England we eat it with lots of sugar to make it sweet for children.
Британцы все время пьют чай.
No, I'm sure the British do not drink tea all the time, but we do enjoy a cup of tea. Coffee is not very popular in England. Tea is traditional.
Black tea.
The majority of tea that is sold in England, I would imagine, is black tea. I love my travels around the world in that I see, wherever I go, tea from different names, different companies, and it says English #1 tea, or the most popular English tea. Strange. I have never heard of most of these teas in England. The most popular teas in England would be Tetley's and Brook Bond. and Brooke Bond would be my favorite.
Сэр Уильям Глэдстон говорил: если вам холодно, чай согреет вас. Если вам жарко, чай принесет вам прохладу. Если вы подавлены, чай взбодрит вас. Если вы устали, чай поможет вам расслабиться. Британцев не волнует то, что на них надето.
In England, the most important thing is to be comfortable. Not everyone wants to be a glamour model. Not all the guys want to look like American film stars. It's important to be comfortable. When I travel in Russian language parts of the world, wow, the women look fantastic. They're so beautiful. They all have the latest designer clothes. It can be -6 and they're wearing mini skirts, they're wearing their makeup, they look great, they look cool, they have wonderful mobile telephones. My wife tells me the most important thing for a young Russian woman, Russian-speaking woman, look good. It does not matter if at home you have no food in the cupboard, you have to have the latest designer mobile phone. I tease my students. I have a phone, a very ordinary phone, an ordinary phone. It's not particularly expensive, it's certainly not new, but it works. For me, the most important thing with a telephone is that I can call someone. I do not walk along the street going, "Look, everybody, I've got a wonderful, pretty telephone. It's cool, it's fantastic. Look at me, I'm clever." To me, that's unbelievably strange. And yet, I know from my students, when I ask them, "What did you get for New Year, a New Year gift?" So many of them said, "A new telephone." And I said, "Did your old telephone break? Did it not work?" And they said, "Oh, no, but this one is newer. It is prettier." For English people, that's not important. To look good is not important. If you go somewhere special, you wear your special clothes. But the most important thing is to be comfortable.
Лондон – одна из столиц мировой моды. Но в то же время показное стремление выглядеть богато англичане считают признаком дурного вкуса. Исключение – уличная молодежная мода, эксцентричная и раскрепощенная. Большинство англичанок недостаточно заботятся о своей внешности.
Yes, they are, but only some of the time. The difference is a woman in Russia, in any Russian language part of the world, feels it's important to be beautiful every minute of the day. I guess if I was a young Russian-speaking woman, difficult for me to imagine. As you can, it's not easy for me to imagine this, but I guess I would want to look fantastic every minute of the day, because you never know when you're going to meet that rich American who's going to take you off to his wonderful mansion in the United States and treat you like a princess. So I guess you want to look great every minute of every day, just in case it's that 1 minute of the day when you look terrible that you meet Mr. Right. English women don't tend to look at things like that. English women, like English men, tend to think, important to be comfortable. If I'm going to a nightclub, I will wear clothes for a nightclub. But if I'm going just to do the shopping in the supermarket, I'll wear my sports clothes or what feels comfortable. Whereas in the Russian language part of the world, a tour around, just to take my basket around a supermarket, I could be in the south of France with a fashion show taking place. So many beautiful women with so much beautiful makeup. But for me, it's enjoyable. Please, Russian ladies, do not stop. I think it's wonderful.
Английские футбольные болельщики очень агрессивны и опасны.
English football has a bad reputation. Deservedly so. There was a time when football fans seemed to go crazy for a while. It's not so bad now because the police have become very proactive in stopping this. But I am disappointed with English football in general. We are not very good, and yet we seem to pay people so much money, it's ridiculous. We don't win anything, which is a shame, and we have a bad reputation. When England travels, I don't know if the reputation now causes the problems, because there is a bad reputation, there's always lots of police when England football fans arrive, and then the fans from the other country think, oh, it's England, so we will go and fight England. So maybe it's cause and effect. There was a time when England was bad, and the name has stuck.
Футбольное хулиганство существовало в Англии еще с XIV века. В современной форме движение зародилось в 50-х годах XX века. В середине 60-х трибуны английских стадионов почти на 70% состояли из футбольных хулиганов. В последние годы среди них появилось множество образованных и богатых людей, для которых агрессия на стадионе стала спасением от повседневности. Британцы не очень эмоциональны.
This is probably true. This is probably true. Certainly, people in Russian-speaking parts of the world are very emotional. Wow, can you become excited over some very small things? I tend to think the British keep their emotions much more inside. We not like to show them. But in a way, I like that. I like that. I don't like to see men screaming and shouting and fighting. Again, it's a cultural thing. There were some shocks for me when I first visited Russian-speaking parts of the world. I find manners are missing.
Черты характера настоящего английского джентльмена были возведены в культ при королеве Виктории. Идеальный англичанин должен уметь скрывать свои чувства, быть независимым, образованным, честным, тактичным, вежливым, уметь руководить и подчиняться.
For instance, if I'm going into a post office or a supermarket and a woman is approaching the door, I will open the door and expect the woman to go through. It's not, I'm not trying to impress the woman. She can be 70 years old, I will still do it. It's not because she's young and beautiful. But here, if I do that, I'll find a young man will sort of push his way past to get in before her while I'm holding the door open. And men don't tend to open the door to let women go first. On the buses, if I see a woman with bags on, I will stand up if there's no spare seats. It's just natural. It seems just a cultural thing, I'm sure. We've been brought up, if I was to walk through in front of a woman, I was walking into a shop when I was young, my father would smack the back of my head and tell me, ladies first.
Английский юмор настолько тонок, что его не все понимают.
I have no understanding of Russian language humor. Apart from visual humor, like Verka Serduchko. I think everywhere in the world has its own brand of comedy. English comedy tends to be very black. We call it black comedy, where we can make fun of ourselves in a very seemingly serious way, but it is comical. And we do that to the rest of the world. We tell our best comedy is in the form of stories. And I'm sure you have similar things here, but it can be very individual in taste, I agree. Oh, thank you. It reminds me of when I used to ride horses. That is why most show jumping riders, not me, are bald. They wear hats for so long it cooks their head.